If you love movies and movie discussions, you've come to the right place. Who am I, you ask? I am the Wiz, and I'm here today with...
Kim Shactman.
Kim, how are you doing today? No, we can't do that right now. We have to go quick. We're here to review the movie American Tail, directed by Don Bluth. Kim, let me tell you about animation and Don Bluth. Don Bluth did a different animation style when it came to Disney. They were very different, more naturalistic. They did different movies. They competed with each other from the 80s and 90s until Don Bluth animation.
Okay, Wiz. Wiz.
Okay.
It's just a hair appointment. It will be okay. I just have a hair appointment coming up. Take a breath. If I'm a little bit late, it's not the end of the world.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So would you like to start from the beginning?
Okay. How are you?
Fantastic.
Good. Okay. All right. We're here to review the 1986 animated film, An American Tail, directed by Don Bluth. I guess we can go by quickly about Don Bluth. Don Bluth was an animated director who mainly did movies from the 80s to the 90s, competed a lot with Disney in the animated space. He did some early success in the 80s, mainly with American Tail, but then as time went on and he competed more with Disney kind of beat him constantly because they were in the middle of their Disney Renaissance. And if I recall correctly, he did fine until he bombed in one movie, and then that was it. It was over. And that movie was Titan A.E. It was the only Bluth movie I saw in the theaters.
I've never even heard of it.
It's an interesting movie, I will say that. It's something that I probably would want to go back to watching, but I did not like it when I first saw it. It was one of the first movies that used the whole movie to blend hand-drawn animation and computer animation.
Oh.
Disney did it with certain scenes, but this movie did with everything, and the result to me was kind of odd. I had that kind of visceral reaction when I saw it, but I might want to go back to watching it again just to see what I feel now about it. Because some animated movies do it better now. Like Spirited Away has some computer animated scenes that is really good, and maybe I misjudged it at the time, so we'll see how that turns out. So anyway, we need to get you to your hair appointment, so let's get to the review.
First world problems over here.
Absolutely. Not that you need it. You're beautiful no matter how you look.
Thank you.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, An American Tail.
Yep. So let's get to a review of American Tail, directed by Don Bluth. Let's get to the plot real quick. Plot's basically this. The Mouskowitz family flees Russia because they're being attacked by cats and their house burns down. And on their way to America, where apparently there are no cats, I don't know how that information got across, but Fievel falls overboard, and the family thinks he's dead. Only for the film to show you that he did not die. He ended up in New York through a bottle and is now trying to find his family throughout the entire movie. And that's the crux of the movie. Fievel's not dead, and now he has to find his family or be an orphan. That's the plot. I think right away I would want to talk about is that's a pretty dark plot for an animated film for kids.
It is. It's a little dark. I mean, there isn't like a ton of joy in the film, but I think what brings it, a smidge of joy is, the music.
Okay, so why don't we get to our 3 points? Kim, go right ahead. What is your first point?
My first point is I felt that the film was obviously geared towards mostly kids, but in a way of almost like a teaching film. So I noticed right off the bat, even though it's pretty dark for most of it, the music does help lift the film up in parts of the film right when it's needed. They're showing a lot of stress that Fievel is going through, friggin' falling overboard on a damn ship and then being this tiny mouse in an ocean and trying to find his family in an unknown place. And so that's a lot of stress. That's a lot of despair. That's a lot of, am I ever going to be connected with my family again? It also pulls in a decent amount of musical scenes that are uplifting and kind of brings more hope to Fievel in the long run. So I feel like if I, or when I was a child, and I watched this many times as a child, and it's funny because as I was watching the film, everything was kind of coming back to me about it. I was oh yeah, I remember these songs and da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, now as an adult, I look at it and I'm like, wow, this is really a teaching film of how to break through and cope with stress and despair. as a child almost. That's what I kind of took from it as one of my points.
And it's the same point I have too. It's a film meant for kids, but dark in spots. I think it is interesting. The thing I got out of it right away is that this is a very much a throwback film, because nowadays when they make kids films, they purposely try to make a lot of elements for adults as well. So there's laced with some adult humor or some adult situations that maybe the kids won't recognize. This film has none of it. However, the film also shows things like how the immigrants were living at the time, how they're being exploited, basically forced labor, things like that. And I was very surprised by watching this movie, seeing that stuff in there. What's weird about the film to me is back in the 80s, parents would have no problem kids watch this movie. I think nowadays parents would have a problem having their 6 or 7 year old watching this movie if they're not paying attention. So if they're paying attention, they would have a problem, because they would see all this stuff in this movie and go, I don't want my kids experiencing this. I don't want them seeing all these mouse and squalor, the parents missing their kid thinking they're dead. I don't want to see this. I don't want my kids to experience this. But back then, I don't think they would have that much of a problem.
Like, I think when I was watching this film, I was little, probably like 4 or 5.
Right.
And like, you just don't really fully understand it. So it's not as bad. You're only, when I was that age, like the most I took from the film was the fun music. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you just don't, but like you said, maybe a 7 or 8 year old may figure it out and get really scared, like it may really taint them. So I guess it just depends on the child, right?
Well, I think kids are more resilient than most parents give them credit for, but
that too.
Yeah. But like, parents that I have known, like people that I know that are parents, are much more shielding of certain things nowadays than they were back then. It's weird. There's certain things that they're okay with, but things like this, I think, would give someone pause to show their young ones.
Well, I also think, too, like, with the film, this is not a film you could just throw on the TV and let them watch alone. Like, you would have to explain the film to them to say, like, this is also like something that went down in history, right? Like this is, and that kind of, I don't mean to stomp on your points, Wiz, but that kind of also brings me to my second point, which is, this is really a metaphoric film, right? Like again, the theme we had for this week were, Jewish films with like, Jewish characters or directors. And in this film, the mice are technically supposed to represent Jewish immigrants, immigrating to America, and the cats are representing kind of like anti-Semitic tormentors in the 19th century. That is literally, because I was like, I know this is a metaphoric film. I mean, I did kind of look that up a little bit, but I took that from the film as well. And there's a lot of like underlying like Jewish customs within the film as well. So, maybe like, even though children may be scared, maybe children that have that culture or religion or historic background within their family's history, they may want to teach them about it, right? And I think, again, and it goes back to my point number 1 of being a teaching film and how the metaphors kind of intertwine that teaching for the kids.
Sure. No, absolutely. But it's also subtle enough where the kids might not have to deal with that, too.
It could go either way, really. Right. But, like, I think if, a child's old enough to understand enough, I think it wouldn't be good to just plop them in front of the TV and be doing something else while they're watching it. I think you'd have to kind of watch it with them and maybe it's going to be okay. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. The most obvious metaphor in the movie is the lionizing of America from the immigrant side. I remember in history class out here in high school how they would tell immigrants, oh, the streets are paved with gold, and that's why you have the line in the song, the streets are lined with cheese, essentially.
Right.
But yeah, it was that kind of a metaphor there. So it's very interesting to see it in an adult perspective, to see how much it laces all that history and all that stuff together.
Yes.
And I think that would be the one thing as an adult that I actually liked about this movie. You
can take away from the film. Yeah.
Right.
Because as a kid, like, I remember watching, I had no idea. And nobody explained it to me. Because again, like you said, like, when we were kids and they, like, it was just like, whatever, it looks like a cute movie, throw it on for the kids, And now watching it as an adult, I'm like, holy crap, there's a lot of metaphors in this movie.
Five almost drowned. What the hell?
Yeah. Like, oh my God, like, he almost never saw his family again. Like, what?
Yeah. Let me get to my second point, and that the music is more Broadway than I expected. I honestly have been used to Disney films, and from that point on, where the music is more pop ballad than anything else.
You make a really good point with that.
Right. And when the music started happening here, immediately I was like, oh, Kim is going to like this, because this is much more... I love it.
Yeah. Like I said, the minute I turned it on and the first song came on, I'm like, oh my God, I remember every single song from this movie. Like, there are no cats in America. Yeah. I was like, oh, yes.
Yeah. Like every song on this is much more of something I would expect on Broadway, which makes sense because this went to Broadway, I think, much later. So
did it?
They did a Broadway rendition of this much later, I think.
Oh.
Yes. When it comes to like music in like a story, I don't like the Broadway style as much. It was fine.
But did you like it in this?
It was fine. I was like, I can do with or without it. It's fine. Yeah, but it's definitely something I noticed right away. It was like, oh, they're not trying to turn this into a top 40 song. This is gonna have...
No, because the songs are really quick too. They're not like lengthy Broadway songs.
No, they're not lengthy, but they are made to be Broadway songs. Like there's intricate dance numbers. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, so it's like I
think it's adorable.
It's I'm not against it, but it's like I noticed right away. It's like I have not watched an animated movie with music like this in a long time, and I forgot how these movies would have more Broadway style songs. So I think it wasn't until Beauty and the Beast, maybe, where Disney kind of turned it on its head and went the route of more pop songs or pop ballads and stuff like that. Okay, so
I think you're right, and I agree with you on that point for sure.
We have the same point on this third point. So what is your third point?
More natural animation than other Disney films,
right?
Or than Disney films, I should say.
Right. I would say for Disney films, period. At this point, the style of the film. We'll start with the backgrounds. The backgrounds are much more, I would say, painterly than anything else.
Yeah, that's a great way to explain it.
It really feels like a painting from like that time. But the animation of the characters is much more natural. It's not as exaggerated as, let's say, Looney Tunes or the Disney animated films, where it's sped up. They're doing exaggerated things. I think the speed is a little more deliberate. I think the most animation detail goes to the faces in this movie, the eyes, the mouth, and how they express themselves, which is a little more different than, I would say, the Disney films. That being said, I am not an expert on animation. So if I'm wrong,
me neither. I have no idea.
If I'm wrong, sound off in the comments and give us your take.
Yeah, give us your feedback. Yeah, because we just see what we see, and I don't know.
But like, I liked the animation, but it was very different from what I'm used to in other animated films. I
really liked it. I liked it better, to be honest.
Better.
I don't know why. I you know what, like you described it, I really liked like almost like the painted look, like the painted backgrounds. I thought that was pretty neat looking.
Yes, the backgrounds I thought were really nice. And this is also a movie where the main color is brown. Like
because again, it's like pretty dark film, so they like.
So if they would have done it in a more classic style, I think it would look really drab. But with the way the backgrounds looked in this movie, it had a much more artistic feel to it, which I definitely liked. I thought
it fit the tone of the film.
Yes, it absolutely did.
Even some of the colors on the characters were like really rich and dark, like their clothing, like what they're like, even like, one of the cats is like supposed to be almost like a tabby, but his orange is really dark and almost looks like gold. You know what I mean? Like I noticed that kind of stuff too, but I was like, oh, it fits the plot and the feel of the film.
All right, Kim, so who do you recommend this for?
I recommend this for children, maybe ages 4+. And I did write without sensory issues, because I think if they have sensory issues, maybe they're really sensitive too about movies. That may not be the way to go. So, but it's definitely a children's film for sure. Adults who may want to watch the film with their children and teach them about Russian Jewish history or just immigration in general. So again, going back to that point one of a teaching film. And then like myself and probably like Wiz, adults who may have watch this heavily in their childhood, like 80s and 90s babies, because again, like I completely forgot about this film. And then when I turned it on, it came back to me instantly. I was like, oh my God, I remember all the music and I remember how it made me feel as a child. And like, I really enjoyed the film as a child. So that's who I would recommend it for.
Yeah, I did not watch this at all. This is my first time watching this.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was primarily a Disney kid, so I did not catch this movie at all.
Well, I was too, but for some reason my parents put this in front of me, so...
All right, Kimmy, it's time to depress you. Not everything is about getting your man. Here you go.
I think my parents were just like, shut up. Like, here's another movie we found that you haven't seen yet.
And then here you are.
That's supposed to be for kids.
And here you are bouncing around. There I go, cats in America.
Yeah.
God damn it, Kim.
And then like on my sad days, I'm like, somewhere out there. Yeah.
What have you done, Trudy? I don't know. I just want to shut up.
Now people wonder why I'm such a depressed adult. No, I'm just kidding. It was all because of that one Fievel movie.
What are you going to do? And who do you not recommend this for?
I just thought a non-recommendation would be adults that may not enjoy animated films or may not have children to watch it with.
Okay.
Very kind of basic. I mean,
yeah.
I guess that's to the point, but...
Makes sense.
I was trying to think. I'm like, I don't know. Like, it could be for some adults that... are Disney fans. Maybe they would like another animated film that's non-Disney, but maybe there are some adults out there that just really never enjoyed animated films as children. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just what I kind of thought of. Yeah.
That's understandable. So who do I recommend this for? I recommend this for adults who are nostalgic for Bluth or 80s animation. I think that Don Bluth is a type of animator that I think a lot of animation fans kind of wish was still around. I don't think he is anymore, honestly. I think after Titan AE, he stopped. Maybe I'm wrong.
I thought you meant he was dead. I was like, what?
He might. I'm not even going to answer that. I'm not even going to answer that.
He's legit not around.
Yeah, I'm not even going to answer that. But if I'm wrong, if he's done movies after that, let me know in the comments. But he's definitely a style that is not represented anymore, both in the way he makes the films and the way that the films are animated. So if you are nostalgic for that, go for it. And I recommend this for kids that can handle some of its themes. I mean, the film is meant for kids. Like, there is no bones about it.
There's like teeny tiny bit of humor in it, and even that's like more geared towards children.
Right. Like the only thing that is geared towards adults are basically the themes of political corruption,
the metaphors,
like that stuff. But this is meant for kids. But if kids can handle some of its themes, I'd say go for it. And who do I not recommend this for? If your animation diet consists of Disney or Shrek or those style of movies, the Disney and Shrek movies really have a flavor to it now, where it's got some adult themes. You can laugh at some things that are inappropriate. It's kind of wink and nod stuff, but this movie has none of that at all.
No.
It is very much meant for that age group. So,
I think, too, though, like, just to kind of think on that is you may want to think more about not recommending for those that like animated movies with a ton of humor. And the only reason I say that is because I have always been a huge Disney fan, but I love this movie.
Oh, yeah, really?
So something to think about there, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's right, because this movie...
There's no humor. Like, there's no humor. But Disney does... Well, I mean, there's, like, a tiny bit, but...
Yeah.
Disney does, like, a ton of humor. Like, Shrek is, like, full of humor. So I feel like... I mean, again, not to knock your not recommended for...
Yeah, just go right ahead. But, like... Knock me down as much as you want, Kim. You've done all my life anyway. Okay.
like you're not recommended for is bullshit because I am the person that loves Disney and this movie.
Okay, fine. Okay, so apparently I have holes in my not recommended. But can you honestly say that you would recommend this for somebody who maybe their favorite movies are Frozen, Moana, or even go our age, Aladdin, The Lion King? Would you recommend this movie to somebody who primarily watched those movies?
I would.
Really?
I would. I don't know. Like, I always think back to would my husband watch this because he's kind of like a tough crowd.
Yeah.
And I think he would like the movie.
Really?
I do. I should ask him.
But funny how you didn't have him watch it with you. So.
Well, because he was sleeping when I was watching.
Yeah, likely story. You just knew that I was going to have this issue because I typed this up last night or I think yesterday. And you knew what my points were.
I'm like, hold on a second.
Throughout the entire time, you're like, how can I make Wiz seem stupid? Oh, I know what I can do. I can completely refute his not recommended point.
Right under the bus.
That's right.
Oh, and P.S. Don Bluth is still alive. He's 86 years old.
Okay, fine. Like, I didn't want to say he was actually.
Well, I didn't know, and I was curious, so I looked it up.
Well, good. I'm glad you're still around, Don Bluth. There you go.
Yeah. Looks pretty good for his age, too.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah. I wouldn't recommend this for people who only have watched Disney and Shrek.
Yeah, I'm contradicting
that.
Yeah,
go right ahead. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. And
I'm going to ask my husband. I'll get back to you guys when we do our next review.
And he'll be like, yeah, that Wiz guy doesn't know what he's fucking talking about.
I'll be like, have you seen this movie? And he's like, yes. If he's like, yes, I'll be like, did you like it? And then I'll find out. And if he's like, no, I haven't seen it, I'd be like, okay, well, we're going to watch it again.
Oh,
I'm going to watch it again.
You're really going to do that to that poor guy?
Oh, fuck yeah, I am.
Oh, God. God, why did he marry you?
I think he'll enjoy it.
Yeah. God.
I rented it. I rented it on Amazon Prime. It was like it was like $3.79.
Yeah, I know, that was weird. That happens
too.
Yeah, I had that too. That was really weird. I guess that's kind of the thing about being married to somebody. The woman is forced to have the man watch something he probably isn't interested in. So,
I've been driving him crazy lately with it being the holidays.
He married you, so you know you asked for it.
You can't buy that for that person. You can't watch this film. You can't. He's just like, oh my God, you're driving me crazy, woman.
Here's a check. Here's a card. You buy it. I'm going home.
Seriously, he's like, just go get whatever you want. I'm like, okay.
Love you, honey. Yeah, whatever. Whatever.
And not to I know we're kind of short on time for this review, but I have kind of a really random question.
Go ahead.
Really random. So Don Bluth was the director. Mm-hmm. That doesn't have anything to do with that show Arrested Development, does it?
No. They're
not one and the same.
No, like Don Bluth is a real person. The Bluths are a fictional family.
Well, I know, but I didn't know if anything from his
time out. Hold on. So you thought that Don Bluth was an inspiration for Arrested Development?
No, it just came to me that it's like the same name. So I was like, I don't know if it has anything to do with one another.
Okay, I'll tell you what, Kim. If we watch Balto,
stop making me feel stupid.
No, I'm not trying to make you feel stupid. If we watch Balto, and then all of a sudden one of the characters says, "There's money in the banana stand," then I'll be like, "Oh wow, that I didn't catch that." But maybe in Anastasia, there's a guy who just pops up with magic tricks and flames coming out of his.
And by the way, I love that movie, Anastasia.
I've heard a lot of people who are actually fans of that movie.
The music in that is really good too.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. So
and Thumbelina.
That's another.
And All Dogs Go to Heaven.
God, I had a conversation with somebody about All Dogs Go to Heaven. I was like, oh wow, I guess
it's a sad movie.
I've heard, yeah. Well, it's called All Dogs Go to Heaven, so
yeah, it gives you a hint right there.
Yeah, all right. All right, Kim. So, do you recommend this movie?
I highly recommend this movie.
God. Yeah.
You can't go wrong with this film unless it's too dark for you. But other than that, it's I don't know. I think it's so cute too. The little mouse. Wiz texted me last night. Said I forgot how painfully. What did you say? How painfully adorable Feifel is. Yeah. And then I'm like, what do you mean? Because I hadn't watched it yet. Like in my head, and then I watched him. Like, oh, his voice alone is so cute.
It is, but it's not a voice I want to hear for 2 hours, so I was glad it was done in an hour and a half.
Yeah,
so I was like,
that was like perfect timing on that. It was getting a bit, okay, like, all right. Yes, I recommend the film.
Okay. I will also recommend it, but I honestly think that for kids, I think parents these days will probably not want their younger set to watch this. And by the time that they get older, they'll have no interest in it. So I don't know who exactly this is for. This might be, for me, just a nostalgic recommendation, where if you are nostalgic for this type of movie, go for it. It's actually a very good part of that. But
the nostalgia for sure. But again, if you want to use it as a teaching film,
sure,
I think you could watch it with your child and talk them through it.
Sure. I just don't know who would actually do that? Like, I don't know a parent
people with that history. Like, I know,
true.
like, if
Okay,
for example, my husband is Jewish, right?
Yes.
I'm not, but he is. If we had children, I would definitely sit them down to teach them about their heritage with that film.
Okay.
For sure.
Cool.
Like 100%. And it's funny because I'm going to visit my nephews next week, and I'm going to ask them, have you seen this movie? And they're 9 and 10. And if they haven't, I'm going to ask their parents if we can watch it while I'm there.
Oh, Lord. I thought I was bad. Holy shit.
Oh, my God. Shut up. They should know where they came from.
Okay. That's a good point.
Because they're like... like full, like my husband is full blown Jewish. Like his mother and father were both from Jewish families.
Right.
So it's not like it's not like he's like half and half or anything. Like it's, yeah.
Right. That makes sense. I'm more of the person that is like, okay, you haven't seen this movie? Sit your ass down. We're watching this movie. And then that would be my thing. That would be like...
Instead of me being like, go to the parents, do you mind if we watch this film?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not that way at all. Like,
I'm usually not, but,
I think I said the story in a podcast before. My nephew is really into video games. He got into video games because of me, I think. And I started, you know what? He listens to me about video games. Maybe he'll like movies. So I said, okay, you like action movies? I gave him Terminator 2 for like 2 weeks to watch. And then I'm like, watch this, report.
That is such a freaking graphic movie.
He's fine. Do you know how graphic stuff is now? Like do you know how graphic things are now?
I
know.
That's
nothing.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
I was like, here you go. Watch this movie. Come back to me, and I'll give you another one to watch. 2 weeks later, it's like, did you watch the movie? He's like, no. Are you gonna watch the movie? No. I'm like, God damn it. Okay, give me the movie back. Like that's about as far as it went. Like I thought I can groom him.
Well, the thing is like movies. My nephews, they'll watch it with me.
Oh yeah.
Like if I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch this movie, you want to watch it? They'll be like, yeah, I want to like hang out with Auntie Kim and watch the movie. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So they do things with me, which again, going back to my recommendation, like if the kids are going to watch it, maybe you should watch it with them. You know?
Sure.
So.
Yeah. He's too old now. He puts up with me more than anything else. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I recommend American Tail. I think it's good, but I think it's a limited audience.
Just be conscious of it, yeah.
Yeah, so, give it a shot if you haven't seen it. If you're nostalgic for it, I'd say go for it as well. So,
yeah, it will come back to you real quick.
Yeah. Now, if you want my full review on this movie, you can go to my website at IamTheWiz.com. You'll have my full written review right on the site, along with a link to the video that has this review that you've just listened to. All right, Kim, so next week we're doing all Christmas movies. Tuesday.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I'm excited. I think. You
love Christmas!
And I don't like Christmas movies.
Oh, you love Christmas, but you don't like the movies. Okay.
There are a few Christmas movies I do like, but the vast majority of them I'm like, ugh. I was like, do I really need to watch How the Grinch Stole Christmas again? The Jim Carrey version, not the animated version.
I love the animated version. I think it's super cute.
I do too.
The Jim Carrey one, I'm like, eh.
Yeah, it was.
Seen it a couple times, and now I'm like, I'm done with it.
Yeah. All right, so Tuesday, I'm going to be reviewing National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Thursday, I'm excited for this one. I'm watching White Christmas on Thursday.
I have never seen that.
Yeah. And
have you?
I have not. So I am looking forward to that. And Saturday, what are we reviewing, Kim?
We're reviewing Home Alone, the most popular Christmas movie.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah. What happened?
What did you say? I said, have you seen Home Alone? He said, well, I'm a goddamn American, so yeah, I've seen Home Alone.
Yeah, boy. I'm American.
I thought that was funny. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is directed by Chris Columbus. Oh, a director I do not like, but you're right. It's a Christmas classic nowadays. But again, so is Die Hard for reasons that I just don't want to get into.
I asked my audience on Facebook and my close friends and family, what movie should I watch for my podcast for Christmas week? Like 5 of them are like Die Hard. I'm like, okay, number 1, we've already reviewed that over the summer. And number 2, we're not doing it for Christmas.
God.
I was such a bitch. But,
you want to know what's funny too? I did it on my I did it on there's a TCM group that I have on Facebook where they would say like, hey, what do you think is a Christmas movie? And the poster said, I'll start Die Hard. And then the first comment I put in was, let's all come together as a people. as a community, and just say that Die Hard is definitely not a Christmas movie.
It's not.
And people are like, you fucking Grinch. Like, you fucking Scrooge. Like,
it's not. We went over this in our review over the summer. Even though my husband, obviously, in our summer review, guys, go back and listen to it. Mm-hmm. We talked about how it is, to most men, it seems to gravitate to most men as a Christmas movie.
Oh, definitely.
And of course, like, we're going to a Christmas party when we go to visit my family-in-law, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. And my husband, I said to my husband, I said, oh, I would really love to get like matching like Christmas sweaters or something fun, like whatever for the Christmas party. And I brought it up to him and he goes, okay, like, what did you have in mind? I was showing him some funny ones that matched and this and that. He goes, all right, let me think about it. And then he comes back to me a few days later. He's like, I bought my Christmas sweater. I'm like, what? I'm like, what about me? Like, what am I buying? And then he's like, look this is what I got. And he shows me a picture of the ho, 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 I have a machine gun sweater that he bought. And it's hanging in our closet as we speak. And I'm just like, well, what about me? And he's like, I don't know. I just really like this sweater. Okay, then.
You didn't get into the conversation, but honey, it's not a Christmas movie.
No, I did not, because I knew that I would hear it like forever. And I'm just like, I'm not even starting this fight. We have enough going on right now. Yeah. Just like he loves it. He loves it. I'm like, fine. So you know what I did? Speaking of our movie for next week, I went out and I bought a Home Alone sweater. So screw you. That's good. So yeah.
All right. So we are going to review Home Alone for next week. I haven't seen it in a while, so I am cautiously
I watch
excited.
it every single year.
I know that. You know what's honestly, there are really no films that I would watch every year. I want to watch new films. I'm just that way. I just want to watch new films all the time. Yeah, I always want to watch new films. So the concept of watching the same movie every year is very foreign to me. But then again, I've seen Notting Hill about 8 times now, so it's not like it's completely foreign to me to watch.
Well, a lot of families have traditions around each holiday for films. Like, remember when we did Hocus Pocus for October, and I told you I watch this film every year at Halloween. Yeah. Same thing for Home Alone, but for Christmas, because that's what my family did every year growing up. So that's what we do still. Yeah. We carry on that tradition. And my father loves Home Alone. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
My little Portuguese father that sits there and just laughs and laughs. And he's like, I love this movie. So, yep, that's the tradition.
That's it, Kevin McAllister. Knock them broads out. Yeah, there you go.
He just thinks that, Wet Bandits are hilarious. He just loves them. He thinks they're so funny. So, yeah.
All right. So tune in next time where I review National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation on Tuesday. On Thursday, White Christmas. And me and Kim review Home Alone on Saturday. I am The Wiz.
And I am Kim Shactman.
Talk to you next time, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.